Hello everyone and welcome to the Continuity Report for September 14th, 2024, Season 1, Episode 36. I am Mayor Watt, and the voice you're about to hear is that of the Sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for the Continuity Report.
And I did it again. I didn't put the articles in ohmTown, but we're going to talk about B Squared opening weekend, Jurassic World reboot, Dune Cubed to be the last by Denis Villeneuve, the Denzel ecosystem, Lo-Fi Jason Bourne, a one-day adorable anime, inside a video game, remaking a heist movie, Munsters Revival, and the newest Starfleet TV show. All of this powered by ohmTown.com. Go over there and become a citizen. You can also download the podcast version of the show and follow us over on YouTube and here on Twitch. But YouTube is where you can like and subscribe and make a comment. That helps out immensely on the algorithm. Ringing the bell, that kind of a thing. Hope this show rings your bell. Wait a minute. All right, so I'm trying to copy things into the bot, so I'm really sorry, folks. Let's see if I can do this real quick without ruining our production value too much. If you want to, you can go over to ohmTown.com and then go into the Continuity Report channel. And that's where we aggregate a lot of the news that we cover here in the show. That said, you don't have to, because you can go over to YouTube, and that's where we also put all of today's show notes. And I'm almost done here. I want to be able to put this into the ohmTown so that everybody can just download these via or at least get access to them via the show notes in the discussion boards and in the chat and everywhere. All right, folks. So if you're in the chat, you can actually hit exclamation point and then TSR, the Continuity Report, and that will pull all of the links out of ohmTown and into. And they're not in the proper order because I messed up the formatting. But anyway, all the links are there, and they're pretty obvious. Anyway, the very first article is about Beetlejuice. Can't say it twice. You have to say Beetlejuice Squared. Scares up a strong opening weekend. The long-awaited sequel starting strong and even managed to become one of the biggest ever theatrical debuts in September. What do you think of that?
I think that's pretty incredible for a sequel that many people may not have been around for the first one.
20 years in the making or something like that. How long ago?
I remember when it came out. I think it came out in the 80s.
One job. So the long-awaited sequel started strong and even managed to become one of the biggest ever theatrical debuts in September. Justin Carter over at Gizmodo.com put the article together. And how long?
Oh, well, 1988. So almost
40 years.
40 years.
Yeah. I mean, 36 or something like that. That's brutal. So Warner Brothers Tim Burton's horror comedy sequel opened to $145.4 million, according to Variety. The bulk of that came domestically here in the States, I suppose, where it began its theatrical run with $110 million. It's the second biggest September debut of all time, behind the $123 million debut of 2017's It Chapter 1, and directly ahead of It Chapter 2, $91 million. Yeah, that's a pretty big gap, too. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it is.
Wait. Oh, 100. Okay, so yeah. So there's been a big marketing push behind Beetlejuice Squared. Because if you say it twice, you're going to end up in trouble. Everything okay over there?
Well, I thought if you said it 3 times, yes, that's where the problem occurs.
Oh, I thought it's... now I'm really confused. I thought it's 3 times to send him back, twice to bring him back. Right, Beetlejuice? I don't know anymore. I think it's, yeah, maybe it is 3 times. Dude, I guess I'm going to have to watch it again. Anyway, big marketing push. It has been everywhere. Everybody's been talking about it all over the place. Along with getting people to rewatch the first film to see if it still holds up, and maybe just Burton's entire filmography overall. It definitely helps that the 90s animated series recently hit Tubi ahead of the sequel's release. Its stars also can be credited. People love them some Winona Ryder, Michael Keaton, and Jenna Ortega, particularly the latter thanks to Wednesday and Scream sequels. Add to the strong word of mouth from its premiere at the Venice Film Festival, and it's no surprise that people have drank the juice, as it were.
I'm surprised it was at the Venice Film Festival because I think of that as being more... I thought it was more artsy films, but maybe not.
Yeah. To me too, I thought so. So what else to look forward to this month? Well, they have other things in mind, but we're going to move on. This is what we came to talk about, Beetlejuice. I really liked the first show, right? Just Beetlejuice, and now Beetlejuice. I'm not sure,
I don't feel like it's going to live up to the original.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to take it.
Know.
I know that he tries to marry Jenna Ortega, I think, in this one, but I haven't really been paying any attention. I'm waiting for it to drop so that I can watch it in the home theater instead of in a theater, mainly because, well, COVID is still a thing. Anyway, let's keep moving. I look forward to this being released at home, and then we'll end up talking about it here in the mayoral mansion. All right, the next article is over in the Continuity Report. Scarlett Johansson's Jurassic World reboot has already changed the franchise in one big way, and I did not know about this at all. Scarlett Johansson's
that's surprising to me.
Huh?
That's surprising to me just because she's such a name brand. I didn't either till I saw this headline.
So ahead of Jurassic World Rebirth, releasing in 2025, the movie has already had the impact on a wider franchise before even dropping the trailer. In 1993, Steven Spielberg set imaginations everywhere alight as he brought dinosaurs to life in Jurassic Park. The film was based on a novel by Michael Crichton, the same man who's responsible for the creation of Westworld, Twister, ER. Okay, wait. Westworld is not... All right. Is Westworld a book by Michael Crichton? Did I really miss that? Hold on a second.
I think we've seen that previously mentioned, but maybe he just worked on the screenplay or something.
No, it's a book. 1974. Maybe that's why I missed it. It's a screenplay, not a book. Odd reading experience because it's a screenplay, not a book. Westworld was never a novel. It was originally envisioned by Crichton as a movie. The screenplay was written in 1972, and the movie came out in 1973. Okay, so maybe that's why. I didn't think it was a book, but anyway. But Westworld and the early 70s movie is a far cry from the modern version of Westworld, at least after the first season. I mean, it went bananas towards the end. I actually stopped liking that show. Anyway, the film was based on a screenplay by Michael Crichton, the same man who's responsible for Westworld. Oh, sorry. Let me fix this before my brain explodes. Jurassic Park was a book. Westworld was not. And dozens of other spectacular stories. So let me just move past this. However, at the time, Michael Crichton and Spielberg likely didn't predict the success of the movie. So now it's back. Ben Gibbons over at ScreenRant.com put the article together, and it's Jurassic World Rebirth. I did not even know. I did not see Scarlett Johansson.
I thought the franchise was over, and I didn't know Scarlett Johansson was joining it, but I suspect that this will be a big draw for them. Maybe this will reinvigorate it.
Yeah, so since 1993, the movie grew to become a huge franchise, including an original trilogy, a sequel trilogy, video games, animated TV show, and more. The Jurassic World trilogy was responsible for giving the franchise a surge of new life when it came out in 2015, and now the films are set to enter another era, third era, with yet another new trilogy. However, the Jurassic World Rebirth has already confirmed one big change for the franchise. It's keeping the world name in its title. No more Jurassic Park for the franchise. It's Jurassic World. So no more Jurassic Park.
Well, I guess then they can move the movie out of the original
park
set or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Unless they're going to make another park or something, since that went so well the first time.
Zora Bennett is Scarlett Johansson, or I should say Scarlett Johansson is Zora Bennett. The titular character in Jurassic World Rebirth. Let's see exactly how it's connected. This means that Jurassic World Rebirth will be to the previous films is unclear, but it is interesting that the change is apparently now permanent. So I don't know how that really makes much difference, other than it pulls it out of the park, like the AI said. So I think this is going to be interesting. I haven't really gotten into the Jurassic World, world ecosystem, pantheon of dinosaurs. I don't know. Rather than terrifying monsters, they became wild and glorious creatures that deserve respect. So I guess Earth is going to be the playground for dinosaurs again.
Right, and the hilarity ensues.
Jurassic World looks set to be the new official title. Rebirth. Does Rebirth's title mean Jurassic World is the franchise's new official title? So yeah, I mean that's what it's going to be. For many expansive franchises, the word universe. God bless America. What is going on? I cannot say anything today without fumbling all over my words. For many expansive franchises, the word universe is incorporated to suggest the scale and size of the stories that are contained within it. Jurassic Park came out long before most movie universes were established, and it's certainly no illusions of grandeur for a franchise that would span decades. But it's already broken out. The moment that it started using Jurassic World Dominion, for instance, that the world Dominion is now that of the dinosaurs. They can go anywhere they want.
Right.
I don't see how, but okay. And there must be some canon way that they got out of the park, like fully, right?
Well, right. I think they got out of the park, or at least they went rampant in the park, at least on the first one.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the island itself that they were on. Like,
right.
How did they get to other islands? Come on. Anyway, maybe people smuggled eggs.
Oh, right. Yeah, that could have been it.
Flushed them down the toilet when they got too big, like dinosaurs, and they end up, or like alligators, and they end up in Florida and
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, thank you for the recall there. Let's keep moving. This is going to be interesting to watch. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, most of the Jurassic franchise is just a fun watch. I mean, you have to suspend disbelief. It's entertaining.
Yeah. To me, it got kind of old, though. Let's keep moving. When they talked about a dinosaur named Blue, I'm like, oh, God. My boy Blue. From Back to School. Not Back to School. What was the one? Where he goes back to school and starts a fraternity. Oh, goodness. I can't remember it. Anyway, next article's over in the Continuity Report. Denis Villeneuve says that Dune 3 is not like a trilogy and will be his last Dune movie. Other directors could take over, so I'm not closing the door on the franchise. Denis Villeneuve appeared on Vanity Fair's Little Gold Men podcast and stressed that an upcoming third Dune movie based on Frank Herbert's Dune Messiah is not being developed as the completion of a trilogy in his eyes. Legendary confirmed in April that development in Dune 3 was underway following the blockbuster success of Dune 1 and 2. Zach Sharf over at Variety.com put the article together. So Dune Part 2 grossed $711 million earlier this year.
Is that all? I mean, it didn't hit the 1 billion mark like Inside Out, I think.
Oh, yeah. Dune Inside Out, starring Zendaya. No. Or Inside Out Dune.
Might be a good crossover.
Yeah. So it's set 12 years after the events of the first Dune novel, Dune Messiah. It's set 12 years after the Dune novel. So a film adaptation would likely have to age up Villeneuve's young cast that includes Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, is it Poe?
Pew, I think.
Pugh? Is it Pugh? Pugh? And more. I never been able to pronounce her name properly. I think I may have heard it, but it doesn't stick in my head. I'll have to hear it again. Anyway, the director said, "I know how to do that," when asked how he plans to age up the cast, but did not share details of his plan. What is it? 12 years? It's not going to make that much of a difference to people that are, it's staccato. You're not going to recognize them as being 12 years older.
Right. I don't think most people will care as long as it's not a larger age difference. Like, it's not like a Benjamin Button situation or something.
Yeah. It's not like they're aging so dramatically in 12 years that they're adults. It's not like they're 12-year-olds.
Right. That would be a big difference. Yeah.
They're in their 20s. The difference between 20 and 30 is not that much of a difference. Maybe on Dune. No, it extends aging. The spice extends aging.
Right. So it should be less of a concern.
Yeah. It's just like yesterday. Give me a break. Anyway, Villeneuve has long expressed interest in making a third Dune movie and has often said that he would mark his final outing in the franchise. Herbert's literary series continued for more novels, and Villeneuve said he's comfortable with other directors taking over the franchise. As long as they're grandiose, that's fine with me. Stick to the material. You'll have plenty of material. The world building is just massive. It gets a little bananas, but it's a lot of fun. So that's all there really is to this. That Villeneuve's going to move on
like
after
this,
the third one.
Right? Like, he doesn't eliminate it from. It's like the antithesis of the Stop Killing Games.
Yeah, really. Well, he can't stop the franchise from moving forward. No, I'm going to take my Dune and go home. Let's move on. The next article is over in the Continuity Report. 12 biggest roles Denzel Washington turned down or lost. Denzel Washington has had many prolific roles in his long and illustrious film career. Please use titular, please. Still, the actor has
we have
also...
to have it in at least once a show.
Yeah. Had many parts that he either missed out on or of his own volition turned down, or because the casting producers turned him down. So you mean life? Okay. Of course, that has not slowed him down at all, as seen in the expansive filmography and numerous award wins. So over at Screen Rant, Sarah Little and Greg MacArthur put an article together going over the ones that he lost. So he was supposed to be in Furious 7. Had the opportunity to appear in Furious 7, the most profitable installment of the massive Fast and Furious franchise. He turned down the role of playing Mr. Nobody, which went to another legendary actor, Kurt Russell. Mr. Nobody went on to appear in The Fate of the Furious and F9, making him a recurring part of the monolithic action franchise. And
so if he'd gotten F7, then he would have had, I guess, 2 more. Yeah. Or at least the 9th one.
But I don't know. He seems like a commanding stage presence. They may kill him off just so that others can still shine.
Right, exactly. Because that threw me off when it said Furious 7. Because I was thinking, well, he's clearly like a leading role, but he can't be if he's coming in at number 7.
Yep. So Leave the World Behind in 2023. He was initially slated to portray G.H. Scott in Netflix's apocalyptic thriller Leave the World Behind, directed by Mr. Robot creator Sam Esmail. The role eventually went on to Oscar winner Mahershala Ali after Washington stepped away from the project. It would have marked a 30-year on-screen reunion with Julia Roberts. Interesting.
Oh, from the Pelican Brief, which is a really good movie.
It is. So, A Perfect World in 1993 starred Kevin Costner as Robert Butch Haynes, a convict who escaped from prison and took a young boy hostage while he was on the run from law enforcement. The movie, which was directed by Clint Eastwood, did not garner a lot of success. Costner was not Eastwood's first pick to play Butch. Initially, the director wanted Denzel Washington to play the role, but the actor turned the part down. For good measure, apparently. Michael Clayton, 2007. Washington later admitted that he made a mistake in passing on Michael Clayton because of how successful it was. George Clooney played as the, I got to say it, titular character in Michael Clayton, which told the story of Michael Clayton, a lawyer and a known fixer who uncovers corruption related to one of the clients in his firm in New York City. Let's keep going. Amistad in 1997. His performance thrust him into the spotlight in Hollywood. However, the role almost went to Denzel Washington, who turned it down because he didn't want to play a slave. Yeah, makes sense.
Fair point.
Hotel Rwanda in 2004. Is this another? Hold on a second.
This one is about genocide.
Oh, Cheadle would go on to get an Oscar nomination for his work in Hotel Rwanda. 48 Hours in 1982. Dreamgirls in 2006. I, Robot in 2004.
Okay, that's interesting.
Will Smith played the lead. It was supposed to. The producers first turned to Denzel Washington to see if he'd be interested. The actor turned it down. Wow. Oh my God, Blade? Wesley Snipes completely embodied the role of Eric Brooks / Blade in the 1998 superhero movie Blade. Before principal photography took place, the head of the studio producing the film suggested Denzel Washington. Snipes, though, and he got his way at the end of the day, so director said, go with Snipes. Yeah, I can't imagine Blade being
No,
Denzel
I can't either.
Washington.
I, Robot, I'm like, yeah, I could probably see that.
Maybe?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Because
it seems like it's a more serious role or whatever, which Denzel Washington seems to do well with. But
Terminator 2 Judgment Day? What?
instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger? No, this is a side character.
Played Joe Morton. However, the producers first offered the role to Dr. Miles Bennett Dyson, played by Joe Morton. However, the producers first offered the role to Denzel Washington, who turned it down because it wasn't the part he was looking for. Wow.
That's because he wasn't going to be the titular character. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
True. Yeah, 7. Denzel Washington almost took the role that would ultimately go to Brad Pitt in 7. 7 is arguably one of Pitt's best movies, but it would have looked a lot different had Washington never turned down the role of David Mills because the film was too dark. Wow.
I don't really get that.
7?
Oh, I misunderstood what they stated at the end. I got it now.
Gotcha. So yeah, because it's about a serial killer, so modeling his murders after the 7 deadly sins. So that is pretty dark, but Denzel Washington has taken on other roles where people have been murdered, but not perhaps this. I mean, it's kind of
right. Maybe not like playing a serial killer or something, if that's what was going on.
Well, he would have been Brad Pitt, right? David Mills.
Yes.
Yeah. Yikes. All right. Let's keep going. Time waits for no person. So the next article is over in Reality Hacker. This 2024 movie is a lo-fi Jason Bourne paranoid thriller you need to watch if you can. The director of Hell or High Water returns to Toronto with a throwback paranoid thriller that loses its edge as it goes. A. Dowd over at Digital Trends puts this article together. And it says the deck statement says it's a reasonably smart thriller that dumbs itself down as it goes.
Well, a
Okay.
lot of action thrillers do that.
Yeah, they start out with the world building and then just kind of drop down into action. So it says Relay, which premiered this week at the Toronto International Film Festival, builds a whole suspense thriller around these unsung almost heroes, the would-be whistleblowers having second thoughts. The movie casts Sounds of Metal's Riz Ahmed as Tom, a middleman with a very specialized clientele. He helps regretful company defectors flirting with going to the press or authorities safely walk back their plans, facilitating the return of sensitive documents in exchange for an end to the intimidation tactics their powerful employers deploy. He also, of course, demands his own 8-digit fee from the company. Does such a service really exist? Probably not, but it's easy to imagine a job market for someone like Tom, a fixer hired to restore silence without violently silencing anyone.
Sounds kind of interesting.
It flips the script, you know? I mean, could be worse, I suppose. They could just land a Boeing plane on somebody. So, for a while, Relay works as a game of cat and mouse where the mouse is just trying to restore the status quo of insidious cover-up. The evil company has sent its own in-house fixers who seem ready to kill the scandal the literal old-fashioned way, which would have been cheaper anyway. So, I don't know. I'm already... I don't know. I'm already lost out on this. I'm going to end up watching it.
I have to say it sounds different than other things, which may be worth trying.
Yeah, definitely something worth looking at. So Relay is gripping so long as it's just observing Tom on the move. He's like Michael Clayton by way of Jason Bourne, using his chiefly analog systems, telephones, the male goofy disguises to flummox more technologically advanced adversaries and keep his client out of the crosshairs. Surprised they didn't throw in a little eraser or uneraser. Because in Eraser, the objective is to remove the person entirely while still getting the message out.
Interesting. Well, and also the Michael Clayton reference was
right.
Interesting because we just had that in the other article without realizing that.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, maybe we can watch this. It might be interesting as soon as it comes out. I don't know where it is. It just says that it recently played at the Toronto International Film Festival. It's awaiting US distribution, so we'll see if it actually ends up anywhere. Maybe straight to video, you know?
Right.
All right, let's keep going. Next article is over on the WarCrafters channel, which is one of our shows. It's just not going to be shown today. You only have one day to watch 2024's most adorable anime movie in theaters. One of the most delightful moments in Production IG's feature-length anime movie, The Concierge, involves a very nervous ferret businessman wearing a wee little suit. He's visiting a fancy department store because he's entertaining two of the company's most prestigious clients, a tiny owl and his wife, both wearing smart jackets for their shopping trip. Mr. Ferret wants to show them a good time since the owl could give his company some good work. So he enlists the help of the department store's newest concierge, a human who must crouch down in order to see eye to eye with the small animals. Petrana Radulovic over at Polygon.com put this article together. It has an interesting premise. I'm not this style of anime fan, but it might be something that could be watched, right?
Yeah.
If it was more in the style of Pixar, more like
exactly,
Zootopia.
like a Zootopia, yeah, then it would be probably a massive success.
Oh my god, that would have been amazing. That really would have been amazing. Because, yeah, these characters have, like, right out of the gate, the characters are from Zootopia. I mean, it really is Zootopia.
It's like Zootopia in anime or something.
So there's no humans in Zootopia, but can you imagine a movie where a human gets pulled into the Zootopia through like a parallel universe? It's kind of like a, what is the movie where the human and the anime live together? It's kind of like Pokemon, but Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh yeah, and the Pokemon Detective one,
Yeah.
Pikachu. Yeah, Pikachu, I think.
Peek at me?
Had some of that.
No. No peeking at me. So this actually, it looks really fun. And I don't need to go into more detail about it because it's what I just described is just awesome. Seeing a cute animal fretting about such a human concern is so endearing, as to the fact that the concierge is bending over backwards, sometimes literally, to help a tiny ferret. And that isn't even the most special element of this movie, which it will be in American theaters for only one day on September 11th. So this is a weekly show. So we missed it, but I'm sure
it'll be streamed somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure that this will be released somewhere, if not already.
Oh, wow. I wasn't getting the scale from the description.
Yeah. Yeah, like bend over is not, they're on their cheek.
I was thinking like an adult to a child or something. I don't know why. But yeah, this is like literally get down on the ground like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids or something like that scale.
The animation is simple and colorful, really emphasizing the animal characters' distinct shapes and design. They all have unique ways of moving and interacting with the setting. From the great auk, who requires a little push so that he can slide across the glistening floors, to the giant woolly mammoth whose heft makes the elevator run slower. This screams Pixar Zootopia, like Zootopia 3, the musical, or whatever you want to call this. This would be great. Zootopia the Concierge or something like that. You know, keep that going. This is brilliant. Huh.
They have the very important animal customers. How cute.
Yep. I like that. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the continuity report. This 10-year-old action movie captured what it feels like to be in a video game better than most adaptations. Tom Cruise's innovative sci-fi movie Edge of Tomorrow perfectly captures what it feels like to respawn in a video game. Edge of Tomorrow is highly inventive, relying on a familiar movie premise seen in Groundhog Day, which is that the protagonist essentially wakes up at the same day over and over again. In the case of Cruise's protagonist, William Cage, he's forced to fight in a seemingly unwinnable war against an alien invasion, resulting in him starting each day from square one after dying, typically in combat. We've talked about this from time to time, this movie. It's from a game. Or what was it? Hold on. What was
I didn't know that it was from a game. I thought we've been seeing it recently because I thought they were talking about potential for a sequel.
So there was a book. Like it came from a book first. Hold on a second.
Oh, we also talked about it because of the time travel aspect.
Right. And it's based on a book. All you need is kill. I believe that's what it's called. So yeah, Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat is what it was really marketed as a lot. But the idea of this was that he would be eliminated from time to time and respawn, and it's because he had some connection with, I don't want to spoil this, but it's a 20-year-old movie, right? Like, or 10-year-old movie.
Right.
But it's pretty cool.
You need your banner.
Oh, right. Here. Okay, hold on. Dunk. Okay. So, essentially he's bound to an alien, and that alien always knew what the humans were doing because it could see into the future. But
right.
That future timeline was bound to a human, and that human happened to be Cruz. And before it was Cruz, it was his co-star. What is her name? Emily?
Oh, is it Emily Blunt?
Yes. And she had the power beforehand. and for whatever reason, it transferred over to Cruise, and I don't remember why. But together, they basically changed the tide of the war because they figured out what that temporal causation was. And it was a fun video to watch, and that is kind of the respawn dynamic. Here, let me turn that off. So it's a fun movie to watch.
Do you agree with the premise?
That it feels like it's the best thing to, if you want to feel like you're in a video game. Yeah, particularly if you don't like, but I mean, you won't like this movie if you don't like having to respawn and find your corpse. He doesn't ever have to find his corpse, though.
Right. You better be a Souls-like fan in order to watch this.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you could watch this without that, though, but
because you die and you don't lose anything, but you don't have anything. You start literally time over again. Okay. So Greg MacArthur, by the way, over at Screen Rant, put this article together. I think it's a neat idea. It's a fun article. Definitely worth going and reading if you want a little bit more in-depth about what I and the AI we're talking about. I mean, the movie slogan, Live, Die, Repeat, is essentially what the order of events are. And what's really funny is that there are times where they're sitting somewhere and they know that they've been just stymied as to the next step, and they have their memories of the events that they go through. So, like, they're stuck, and Emily Blunt just reaches over and shoots him to reset the timeline.
Right.
Meanwhile, Cruz is sitting there going, no. But she pulls the trigger and it resets the timeline. It's pretty funny. All right. But you can't do that in real life, folks. All right. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in Reality Hacker. Michael B. Jordan is remaking this classic action heist movie. Do you know what it is? Did you already read it?
I don't know what it is. If it's a classic heist movie.
Oh, you'll have no idea.
Maybe like Ocean's 11 or something.
Michael B. Jordan will direct and star in a new Thomas Crown Affair movie for Amazon MGM Studios. The remake will receive a worldwide theatrical release. The article is over at digitaltrends.com. Dan Girolamo is the author. And basically going to direct and star in a new Thomas Crown Affair movie. Jordan's been attached to star in the remake of the Thomas Crown Affair since 2016. The Creed star will now step behind the camera to direct and produce via his Outlier Society banner alongside Elizabeth Raposo. The originals from 1968 stars Steve McQueen as Thomas Crown, a billionaire who executes $1 million heist, which doesn't really mean any.
That doesn't make a lot of sense unless there's some twist to that.
Crown falls in love with the insurance investigator hired by the bank. The 1999 remake stars Pierce Brosnan as Crown and Rene Russo as insurance investigator Catherine Banning. Digital Trends described the 1999 version as the sexiest action movie ever for its 25th anniversary. Well, hello.
That's kind of a high bar.
Jordan will direct from a script by Drew Pearce, the screenwriter of The Fall Guy. Plot details remain under wraps. So this is kind of ahead of itself.
But why have they been thinking about this since 2016?
Well,
seems like a long time.
This is starting to step into that previous article that we talked about where they don't want to take any risks.
Right.
And the previous two have been hits, but is Michael B. Jordan the person to take on this, to be Thomas Crown?
I thought you were going toward the Beetlejuice article because it took almost 40 years for the sequel.
That too. But they're bringing everybody back for that one. This is a complete remake of who even Thomas Crown is. So it'll be
it's interesting, right? Like they're like, if they have a hit movie, let's just remake it with a new generation to watch it.
Right. But this, when was Creed 3 out? The the highest box office total in the Creed franchise. Well,
2023.
Interesting. I guess moving pretty fast then. All right, let's keep moving. Speaking of fast, we'll do the 1-2 punch because we have 2 more articles. One is actually a video article, and that's this one. Is James Wan's Munsters revival going to work? The Munsters is again getting the reboot treatment, but will James Wan's vision work this time? The article is over at Screen Rant, but it's actually a video, and it starts out with the original Munsters, and I thought we had another thing about Addams Family as well. There's a remake of the Addams Family trying to be done.
There is. This is another example, right? Where they're like, let's work with what's already been a success before.
Yep. And so Addams Family is actually a really big hit. Munsters was a clone of it, not really the same, but
very similar, right?
Very, very similar. And instead of Wednesday, it was a boy. They've tried to remake it, and they say a more violent spin on it, more technologically savvy spin on it. Now they're going to bring it back again and see if they can make it happen. So James Wan is described as a horror giant, but it was more funny than it was scary. So I don't know.
If you didn't tell me otherwise, I would have said that was from the Addams Family, that little clip of the black and white.
Right. So they're going to have a bunch of people. They kind of describe what's going on in this video. So Rob Zombie's Monsters movie, Mockingbird Lane. Now they're trying to do the Munsters. And like I said, the Addams Family is being rebooted too, apparently.
Well, it's really being rebooted, right? With Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep. And that actually spun up and disappeared. Like, it went just to Wednesday, and that's where it's at now. So I don't know about more coming.
But before that, they had a new animated, I think 2 movies.
Right. Like Addams Family Values and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I like the idea of this. Oh, Shuria, I think Thapa is their last name. And Kem Ramirez over at Screen Rant put this video together. And I suspect that it'll do well. People are really interested in this genre of
it's
movie,
like comedy, horror kind of, right?
Yeah, it's more entertaining, I think, than just pure horror. It applies to more people because somebody's going to get a thrill out of the horror aspect of it, and the rest are going to get a thrill out of the humor part of it. As long as they, speak the proper language. Of just enough scare and fun at the same time. So we'll see how it plays out, and we'll end up talking about it here in the continuity report. I would love to be able to just watch one of these shows and just kind of talk just about it. But that'll come in time, so not just yet. All right. The next article is over, and our final one for the continuity report for September 14th is in the continuity report itself. New Starfleet TV show is the Discovery replacement Star Trek desperately needs. So this is they're talking about Starfleet Academy, aka Star Trek Starfleet Academy. You have to keep Star Trek in there. After the end of Star Trek Discovery, which pushed Star Trek into the unknown again, the franchise desperately needs its latest upcoming TV show, Star Trek Starfleet Academy. So it's going to be referred to probably as STSA. Since 2009, when J.J. Abrams' reboot Star Trek franchise reintroduced a new and younger audience to the final frontier, Star Trek has been focused on the past, with prequel films showing an alternative timeline of beloved characters. Star Trek Discovery took a bold leap forward, literally. Jumping to the 32nd century allowed the show to take on fresh new mysteries with no Star Trek TV show that has ever encountered. But when they jump really far ahead, they end up in this like supernatural type of ethereal space.
Right.
And that's something that I wasn't always a big fan of. Plus it seemed too flashy, too dark, too antagonizing. Where I never really got that in any of the history. Even in Deep Space Nine, I didn't feel threatened by just whatever was on the screen. It just always seemed hostile and aggressive on Discovery. Strange New Worlds pulled it back, and I can actually attach to that. I don't know what the status of that is anymore.
I think it's coming up. But I don't think there's a release date.
Yeah. And then Star Trek Starfleet Academy is going to pull it back to Earth, I believe, to the Academy. And I don't know what all is going on with that either. But I know that these two are involved. Ashley Bird over at ScreenRant.com put the article together. And, I can't really say that I'm all that much of a fan of either of those two actors, but it is what it is. Maybe their characters, I'll be able to like their characters more, but maybe it's just a me problem. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, everybody is going to have different characters that they like or can identify with.
Tig Notaro is going to return. Oded Fair, Star Trek Discovery's Mary Wiseman, Holly Hunter is going to be the lead, which I find fascinating. So despite how Star Trek Starfleet Academy adds legacy actors to its ranks, the new show can still focus on its 32nd century setting instead of relying on the nostalgia often provided by old characters being recast and rewritten for newer audiences. With the promise to be set both on Earth and in space, there are plenty of opportunities to steer the show away from revisiting old narratives. But old narratives can be revisited if you put a cultural and temporal tilt on it, apply something new to it. It doesn't have to be that you can go back to an old narrative and revisit it because it's no longer culturally appropriate to spin it that way. 30 years in the making.
True.
There's a lot of time Go ahead.
I was going to say you could probably do a lot of the same plot lines or whatever, but you might have to update some of the nuance or the dialogue.
Yep. And it's more like 50 years because it was around since the 60s. So. With such a young cast, presumably playing students along with some returning favorites, Star Trek Starfleet Academy has everything it needs to look to the future while still tethering itself to an established canon. Additionally, Star Trek Lower Decks has done its part in introducing a wider range of non-human species to the fleet. So I don't know about that. But I really wish that there would be a real live action Starfleet Lower Decks. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be really good. I mean, we saw a sense of that when they did the crossover with Strange New Worlds, which was really good.
Yep, I really liked it. One way or another, I want Star Trek Lower Decks to be back because they could have stayed. Like it's kind of like what is it? The Simpsons or what's the one with the kids? South Park. So either The Simpsons or South Park, nobody's aged. So you could be whatever.
Right. You could do it forever. Right.
And you can have
good writing.
You could have the actors move on if they want to and replace them with other charismatic characters, even replacing the characters themselves, but still keep the whole idea of Star Trek Lower Decks going. I just wish that the writers would have stayed and it would have continued. But again, and it's the first, like, I never really hung out in the world of Simpsons or South Park. I watched a few episodes, but I've moved on way past it. Star Trek Star Trek Lower Decks, I loved from jump. So it kind of sucks that it disappeared so fast.
Well, I also think it had a broader appeal than just Star Trek, or even people that typically would watch live action. So it must have been doing something right.
Yep. Yeah, I think more people appreciated Star Trek Lower Decks than I think Star Trek, but then again, maybe the stats don't hold that out. I'd have to go and look and pull them up. But all right, folks, with that in mind, we are all done with the continuity report for September 14th. That means we're going to have to hop on the teleporter, and when somebody pushes the button, oh, we're already there. Doggone it. That was really quick, huh? I am a copy of myself, though, so there's that. You know, when you use a teleporter, you're completely destroyed and then replaced.
Yeah, it sounds very violent.
Yeah, nobody can hear the screaming because you're in a teleport beam. Anyway, that's it, folks. I am Mayor Watt, and that is the Sentient AI's voice.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for the continuity report.
Was that it?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. See y'all later. Last time I used a teleporter, they played a joke on me and I had a tail. Didn't even realize